Hey, what's up? Silas here. Just this is gonna be a multi-part thing, I think. Just talking about different things with the ongoing sexual assault things. One of my friends just posted that Mario Batali, who's this really famous chef, was now caught with some accusations of doing certain things, and he actually ended up owning this. And a few people are actually owning this thing when it comes out. And he said something like, "Yes, the women or the who are apparently coming out with these accusations have not been revealed to me, so I don't really know who they are. But the things described are things that I is he said that goes together with what I personally have behaved like in the past. And this has had me thinking about certain things. A lot of the people who say in situations like I saw one example say, okay, no, the men in these situations need to man up or they need to grow up and understand this is not how you treat females. And that's true in some extent in some places, but then it's also where the cultural differences. There's a lot of these people who will be talking about how this is a situation where all cultures are the same, but they're not all the same. Mario Batali, if he actually did grow up in Italy, I've had some time living there. You guys can check out Italian television online probably or find actual Italian television stations. And the sexuality is a whole different thing there. They are completely into the whole sexual dimorphic thing, and women openly use their sexual nature even in something very publicly on television. And I still think that even happens a bit here in the United States of, I mean, not here, okay, in the United States of America and other places in the West. They have the kind of thing where, like, for example, just a simple TV thing. One thing you notice, it's like the men dressed in their suits and everything, and then the women will have the short skirts and shined up legs. This is often seen on the Fox channel. I think that's where it sticks out the most. Where you'll have the men suited up and then like the women sitting there with the glistening legs. So they do understand that they're using their sexuality in a different way because it appeals to males in a different way. And I've mentioned before that probably the suit might appeal to females in a similar way that the skin appeals to males in that sense. So there's a use of that. But this whole idea that okay, these people need to man up, but people are coming from different cultures where they treat each other in a different way. They interact in the workplace in a different way. And these people are saying no. These people have to adjust to these cultures. So what happens when it comes in that kind of situation when it actually is from a different culture? Now, coming from that, I think one thing we can admit, whether you think it's right or not, either or in this way, is there are some situations where in the West, I think if this continues, we are going to see far more segregated, gender segregated workplaces. Now, I know there's certain movements going towards like we need transgender bathrooms or we need like bathrooms where anybody can use. But no, I think it might be like a horseshoe thing. And some people are also wondering, like, okay, how come there's kind of this partnership or relationship between Islam, which people say, like in some of these Islamic run countries, that they say there's a lot of mistreatment of females or treating females as a certain class. And then you have the feminists who are treating females as a very protected class. Like you must be very specially, I mean, you must be very cognizant of how you treat these group of people because they're very sensitive. They need to be treated in a certain way. They need to be accounted for in all sorts of ways. And it's a similar thing I think you see in Islamic countries. Some of what they're doing isn't doing, they're not doing this because they think women are worthless. They're doing it because they think women are so precious that they have to be in a protected class. They're not allowed to drive, they're not allowed to just walk around by themselves. These are things to protect this class. They're saying, look, it's dangerous out there. Other men are horrible. We don't really think you can protect yourself in this way. So I think what Islam is doing, and the same thing feminists are doing, in some sense, is like what a collector would do with collectibles. Whether you're collecting comic books or like action figures or things like that, sometimes people will get them and they'll keep them in the packaging and they'll keep them on the shelf and they'll keep them on display and they won't let other people play with them, other people touch them, other people move them around because it's precious to them. I don't think this is a situation where people are being devalued, and there are some senses where I think it is taking away the agency of somebody, especially in the feminist movements where they're saying women can't make these decisions. But I think that's the same thing in Islam, isn't it? They say women can't make the decision, so they shouldn't actually be there. They say we need what? I think there was something they said in Islam that they need like what, three or two females to testify against one man. And in the kind of situation where it's like, look, a man drunk and a female drunk, they can both, the female can't make a decision on whether she wants to engage in sexual intercourse, but the man can't. Isn't that devaluing the ability, the decision making of a woman? They can say in these situations a woman can't decide to just not be in this relationship, cannot decide to engage in this relation. A woman can be pressured in a situation, but a male can't be pressured into a sexual interaction. So they have these kind of double standards where they are also delegitimizing or reducing the ability of a female to make a decision. Now, back to the Mario Batali thing, as I said, check out the Italian culture and the way things are done in that way. I think you'll be surprised if you guys don't remember, or if you guys, some of you might remember it. Look up Silvio Berlusconi. He was a prime minister and president of Italy a couple of times. I don't know if he still is. I haven't checked. He probably isn't. I think there's somebody younger in now. But he was this rather older gentleman. He's also one of the wealthiest. I think he's the second wealthiest person in Italy, and he got in. And some of the stories with him, I don't think he was ever married, but pretty much think the allegations that are around Bill Clinton, that was Silvio Berlusconi, except none of the females came out and said anything that went on was not consensual. They pretty much were down with it. Like he had I think there was this one scandal that came out. I don't know if it was even really a scandal because he still stayed in, but there was this place with these underage, not underage. I don't know if they're underage. I don't know what the age of consent is in Italy, but very young women in their early 20s or teens, late teens. I think the age of consent is at least 18, but very young women, very young, beautiful women were apparently in places where Silvio Berlusconi and other people were in and having these type of boom boom room type things, or it's like places where they go in. I'm laughing here because it's just Silvio Berlusconi himself is. I think a lot of people in the United States of America who are really surprised and anti-Trump should look up Silvio Berlusconi, and they'll find probably a lot of parallels in what they imagine Trump's lifestyle to be like. Even though, as I said, I don't think Silvio Berlusconi was ever married, let alone divorced 3 times, or at least at least having a family, close family like you have with the Trump family and the Trump clan. But yeah, that's it for now on this topic. Probably not going to add too much on this, but just, yeah, the Mario Balotelli thing. Not Mario Balotelli. Mario Balotelli is a football player for, he's an Italian football player. Mario Batali, the chef, he came out, he's had some things. There's been accusations. What do you guys think about some of these accusations? Is there a statute of limitations? Some things are going decades back. Should people be fired as fast as they should on this? I think it's up to the people who are hiring them. If it's costing them, yeah, fire those people or whatever. Let people step down if they want. But also, excellent thing the Democrats did by pulling Al Franken out. That's like a master chess move. They talk about 3D chess with Donald Trump. That's a pretty good chess move. I think a lot of people are onto it. But now with Franken out, they can say yes. They're bringing back out now the accusers of Donald J. Trump from before. So now they're starting to state that yes, he should go as well. But yeah, I mean, this is an interesting time. What do you guys think about this? Do you think this is going to lead to more gender segregated workplaces? I personally think it is. If this continues going the way it is, it's just going to make sense. And even some prominent female business people are also saying the same thing because it just makes sense. It's going to be very dangerous, or it's going to be a big risk to do this. Either the men aren't going to behave up to par, or the females you hire are going to feel threatened. So it just makes more sense to have gender segregation. And I think the world in the West is going back to that way anyway. More females are starting to value having time spending at home and raising their children in that way, or finding different forms of employment versus going into the workplace, because the workplace has its own stresses that may not appeal that much to even most men. It doesn't appeal that much to most men. I think most men do it because they can't give birth and they know they need to achieve resources to obtain a female who is willing to be with them, and then they supply the resources for that female and their offspring. That's why most men do most of the work that they do, not because they really love what the work that they do. And then women get in the workplace and they realize, I don't really have to do this. So they end up not doing it. And I think a lot more women are realizing that before actually getting into that and going back to more more beneficial, more satisfying, more fulfilling lines of work and occupations. So, related to this topic is the recent suicide of August Ames, who was an adult film actress, performer in the United States of America. She came out and said that she did not want to do a scene with another male performer that also engaged in gay scenes because ostensibly there's a higher rate of HIV infection in people who have gay sex. So, some people came out and said this was homophobic. She stated that, look, I actually do a lot of scenes of lesbian sex, girl on girl type things. So she's like, that's not homophobic. I have actual concerns about this. And other people in the industry do have concerns about that as well and have gone along with this. But during this whole process, she committed suicide. And a lot of people are saying that some of this was cyberbullying. And you have people going to the United Nations, like Zoe Quinn, talking about how bad cyberbullying is. So some people are coming out and saying, is this a social justice warrior victim? Is this somebody who's died from that? But some of the people involved in this back and forth on social media, this public shaming, have said, look, she committed suicide. It's nothing to do with me. Some people are saying it was her decision. But this goes to that lack of consistency of how are females actually affected by what people do. See, some people are putting entire agency in her to say that she made this decision herself, had nothing to do with the cyberbullying. Yet you have panels in the United Nations talking about this. You have people talking about how these men or these people in positions of power have been using their influence on females to make them engage in sexual intercourse, even though they said at the time, yes, this is something I want to do. Then they go back and say, no, this was sexual assault, this was sexual harassment. Yet with this situation, with somebody in the sex industry who does regularly engage in sexual relations for pleasure, for money, she decides, I did not want to do it in this situation. And also this goes back to those videos that I had about freedom of association. Yes, you should be able to associate with anyone on, of course, across any lines that you want. There's, I think, multiple people who probably will say, I will not have sexual relations with somebody of a different race on film because that's something else. That's something I don't want to do with my fan base or whatever. There's actors who say, I will not act as a certain position, even if it's not sexual relations. I will not act as a certain character. They should be allowed to discriminate in that way. So what do you guys think about that kind of thing involving with the actual behavior and decision making that people make with these kind of sexual workplaces and kind of decisions that people make in this kind of situation? Where does it come where the female's decision is paramount, where other people's influence on her affects her, and where do you see inconsistencies with the way people deal with that? But yeah, that's it for now. Let me know what you guys think. Like, share, and subscribe. Below, links to the merchandise store. I'm going to try and post up some more merchandise. Haven't been doing that as much lately, which I need to get back to. So I'll have some more videos of me drawing the merchandise and designs and putting them up. But yeah, that's it. Goodbye.